Find this by definition. This is by definition. I know you thought it was my opinion. You thought I'm out to get you. Hey, at the end of the day, that's what everybody goes by. The end of the day, not the morning, not noon. We go by the end of the day. And at the end of the day, your government passed these laws. I didn't tell them to do it. It's just so ironic. I can't make this up. These people accuse me and walking around like John Wayne, like I did something crazy. And you got 44 states marrying children. You got 40 states allowing the age of consent to be under 18. And you got the world record for the lowest age of consent. I can't make this up. It was there before they started even playing with me. Most of it. So that makes you more the fool because you should have went and checked your own community and government. If you really cared about kids, you would have already been on it. And that's what's the other spooky thing. That's the other spooky thing. These are not laws that pedophiles look up. These are laws that people that want to be educated on what the laws are concerning children and sexuality with children. You should be educating yourself on it. If you bold enough to step out here accusing a human life of something, then you should be bold enough to be going out and educating yourself on what it really is by law. Because guess what? Here's the punchline. If you do find a pedophile, you're going to have to enforce the laws. I got you. So how can you enforce something and you're not educated on it? You're just an ignorant fool, vigilante running around here. And I'm the real McCoy. I'm the real McCoy, and you're an uneducated, ignorant fool running around here, not even knowing 44 states marries your children. Yeah. Separates the men from the boys. Separates the girl from the women. When you don't even know nothing about these laws that I'm telling you about, but yet you talking about you protecting the children. And you've been saying that since 88. You've been saying you a child protector since 88. Since Joe Biden been running for office, he started running in 88. You've been talking about you a child protector. Well, then how come you ain't know these laws and you ain't been sounding alarms about these laws? It's kind of mysterious how it's all these people talking about they protect children in America, but you don't know the laws, which contradicts that. And if you was a real protector of children, not that flaky, oh, I'm going to just stand in somebody's way. He's a pedophile. She's a pedophile. I'm going to just stand in their way on the sidewalk. We ain't talking about you. We talking about real bona fide child protectors. It's no way you can tell me a bona fide child protector would not find interest, hear that part, find interest through their passion, you hear that? Through their passion to protect children. You can't tell me they wouldn't be looking at the laws. Because what are they going to enforce? Okay, let's say you find a pedophile and you can't kill them all. You can't kill, I ain't going to say unfortunately, but you can't kill them all. So then you have to enforce the law. You can't take the law in your own hands with all the pedophiles in the whole country. No one's going to let you do that. It's not going to happen. We have to take them through the process of the correction of being imprisoned and all of that. Because in all actuality, that's worse. You kill some of these pedophiles, you setting them free. You make them sit down for 50 years. That's a hard road. So in order to make them sit down for 50 years, in order to go about the process, the proper process of cleansing this country, because you can't kill them all, so you got to use the law. And how can you use the law when you don't know it? So if you find one of them, you have to have laws. You have to have your ducks in a row. You can't just be running up on somebody talking about pedophile. You have to have your ducks in a row, and that's by law the only way you can. And so you should have even thought of that. How am I gonna run up on somebody? What am I gonna do? I'm talking about massive cleaning of pedophilia. Not just some little stuff that look cute to make you look like you some protector of children that you're not. I'm talking about massive cleansing of this from the country. How are you going to do that without enforcing the laws? So you have to have, and if you was passionate, you would have an interest in knowing what these laws are that protect the children. What these laws are that we can enforce against pedophiles. And that would have led you to the age of consent being under 18 in 40 states, 44 states marrying children, and the world record for the lowest age of consent being here in America. That you would have been led to all that information if you was a bona fide child protector. And I don't care what you say. You sitting up empty-headed with no laws to enforce, then you don't need to be doing this. And I know it looks cute to act like you're taking justice in your own hands, but you're not. Because at the end of the day, you're not getting rid of it. You're not. When 44 states is marrying children, when 40 states, the age of consent is under 18, when they have the world record, which defines them by the state, by definition, as pedophiles. You got the lowest world record of all history of civilization for the lowest age of consent for sex. That means you, by definition, are the most number one extreme pedophile country by definition, and that definition being proven by law. The lowest age of consent in America was 7 years old. 7-year-old children right here in America. 7-year-old children. That's 7-year-old boys and girls. I know you don't like to think about the boys because in a weird, strange way, most people are only thinking about the girls. Nah. This also applies to boys. Yeah, I know. Makes you wonder, huh? You think any 7-year-old boys in 16, 17, well, maybe 16, 17, but you think any 17-year-old boys are anything lower? You think they can get erections? They can't even perform sexually. Nah, we got to talk about the details. This is what people do. This is what real men do. That's what's wrong with you now. You're so squeamish when I start talking about it like you're a child. You need to grow up. Stop being retarded. We have to talk about all these things. That's what they do when they go to court. Unfortunately, they have to go through all the details to bring about justice. When children are brought or accusations are brought with a pedophile, they have to collect all the details of what happened, and they have to discuss everything, unfortunately, that happens. We have to do it here in order to get the justice that we need. And 7-year-old boys, and no minimum age laws that applies to boys, they can't even get an erection. 16 and 17-year-olds can get erections. But anybody feel the need to have sex with a 16-year-old? A lot of states allows the age of consent to be 16. The other states allows it to be 17. At one time, the age of consent in America was 10 years old and 12 years old, all over, sprinkled over the country. It was 10 years old and 12-year-olds. That's boys and girls. 10-year-old and 12-year-old boys can't get no erections. But yet, they allowed people to marry them and have sex with them. A 7-year-old girl's vagina is not developed. You could do more damage than anything. But yet, America allowed the age of consent to be at 7 years old in the state of Delaware in 1880, where men with fully developed penises can destroy 7-year-old girls' vaginas. You know it happened. Okay? Let's go back to that law. It was in the state of Delaware, 1880. The age of consent was at 7 years old. My question to your community is, how many men you think took advantage of that law? When they had the retardation to pass the law, what does that tell you? Already, it's someone's thinking this way. Already, someone has this desire. So, with that being said, how many people you think took advantage of these laws? How many little girls you think were raped in the state of Delaware in 1880 with the age of consent being at 7 years old? Now, all you vigilantes, take a bite on that. All you people out here crazy for kids, take a bite on that. Because guess what? America stands alone. You can't go to Russia. You can't go nowhere else when we talk about this law right here. This is where we shut it down. China didn't do it. Russia didn't do it. Japan didn't do it. Australia, India, all the Middle East, none of them had the age of consent. Not Iraq. Not as much as you criticize America, Iraq and Iran, none of those two countries did not ever have the age of consent at 7 years old, and yet here in America, you had the age of consent at 7 years old in the state of Delaware in 1880. So I'm showing you how it's impossible for people to act like their country is not pedophiles. It's impossible. I'm putting it all together, and it all is defined by definition as a pedophile country. Why they out here trying to lock up R. Kelly? Why they sent Michael Jackson through all that foolishness? That whole circus situation. All they doing was making money off a dead cow. It's so sad, but it's true. They just had that man out there like a cow for the slaughter, making money off of him. Everybody know he was more worth dead than alive. That's all that was. Taking that man and killing him for the money. Because because all these people running around and hooping and hollering about what he was doing, why none of them checked the laws? While they was playing around Michael Jackson, nobody checked the laws? And seeing that you had the world record here in America, in the state of Delaware in 1880, with children at 7 years old people having sex with them? You didn't check that while they was playing with Michael Jackson. While you was playing with Michael Jackson, you didn't check the age. You didn't check the age of consent. Is under 18 in 40 states? Because it was there when they was doing all that to Michael Jackson. I know you don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. It was there while they was hollering all over what he was doing with the kids and going through these investigations. The FBI taking pictures of his penis. While you was taking pictures of his penis, 40 states was allowed adult to have sex with children. 44 states, many states was allowing adults to marry children. And you had the world record right then when you was snapshotting Michael Jackson's penis, you had the world record for the lowest age of consent in all of his civilization. Nobody has the lowest record but you. And that record was set before Michael Jackson and his family was even born. Before R. Kelly was even born. See, this is what they do with black people. Like the world is falling apart. If they did something with children. Your world ain't falling apart with 44 states marrying children. You see where I'm going with this? They'll kill your community, but the government sit back doing it. Passing the laws. Passing new laws. July 1st, way after Michael Jackson, way after this R. Kelly situation, July 1st, 2019 is past all of that. Past all that time. And all that stuff they hollered and cried about with Michael Jackson and R. Kelly was not enough for them to not pass this law on July 1st, 2019 with no minimum age for children to be married to adults. After all that Michael Jackson stuff, that's the main person that this country was after, criticizing, hating. But they the ones the pedophile by definition, and that being defined by the laws that they pass, not their actions. The laws that they pass is what defines this country as a pedophile country, not influenced. Pedophiles by activity, and that activity being defined by the definition of a pedophile. This is not a matter of opinion, guys. This is not a matter of my opinion. This is not a matter of a vendetta. This is a matter of your country being a pedophile before any of us even came along. Before any of us even came along, they were already there. And that's what should frighten you. They were already like this. In the state of Delaware, 1880. Anybody here from 1880? That means all of us then. Before we even got here. Everybody. All the people in 1880, they're dead. All of them. Every last person that was in 1880, the year 1880, is no longer here. So it's safe to say we're a whole new civilization. And before we came along as a new civilization, your country was already a pedophile. Yeah. While you accusing Michael Jackson, before Michael Jackson and all of us even got here, America, the state, the country of America was already pedophiles by definition. 7 years old, it can't get much lower than that. It can't get much lower than that, man. For fully grown adults. Children would do things among themselves. We can't do nothing about that. Children will experiment with other children. I'm not talking, so that's not addressing that. I'm talking about men that go out here and work and have been fully developed in their brains, and then you come to, as a fully developed man, you come to a point when you become a protector of children. You just grow into it. You just grow into it naturally. But yet your country didn't do that, which is a form of retardation. Like I told you, it didn't progress. It's nothing cool about that. That's not some VIP privilege. Like that's some VIP cool privilege preserved for the cool people. That's basically what it is. And you would rip someone apart for having sex with a 7-year-old girl. Yet your country did it by law. Your country did it by law. The soil that you're on. Do you care what year it was done? They're trying to go back and find out the years other people did stuff. They got these commercials. Oh, if you've been in sex abuse And it was so long ago, the time thing, that don't matter no more. So guess what? It shouldn't matter no more about all of it. They did it. This country did it, and they did not go through the process we did not bring them to justice. Do you care if it was done in the state of 1880? I mean, in the year of 1880? Do you care? It don't matter what year, right? Because see, what they would do with these pedophiles, say, well, 20 years ago, well, 30 years ago, this happened. We had a cold case, but we found out now. 40 years ago, they did this to these children. Okay. So why we can't go back on the time when you did stuff? Hey, if it ain't a matter of time, obviously not. When you're going back 30 and 40 years ago, that's a long time, by the way. I'm just saying. But we can't go back in time on you, though. Okay. Then I'll just stick to the present. Presently, you are having sex with children in 40 states. Presently, 44 states allows children to be married to adults. See, I got you past, present, and it ain't no future. I got you in the past and in the present time. And hey, you should be passionate about it too. Especially when you quick to go out here and call somebody a pedophile. Now, it'd be one thing if you wasn't doing that. It still would be a problem to me. It would still be a problem to me. And see, we're all allowed to grow. What I feel is, first of all, the bottom line is, I would never hold no certain perspective substantially about anybody having sex with someone under 18. You can't find anything substantial, persistent concerning me with that belief system. But what I do believe is the most excellent law. Because see, while I'm investigating this, I am growing in my perspective about this. I'm growing and maturing with which is progression. I'm progressing as a person, and I'm not practicing retardation. I am progressing as I am investigating or researching or educating myself on these laws. And what I believe is the perfect law is adults with adults. It's too much going on. Adults with adults. Period. Adults with adults. It's too much going on. There's too many people who don't understand, who would not understand. And in wisdom is important. It should just be 18. It's all the stuff that Michael Jackson, all this stuff that went through, R. Kelly, all this stuff. Wisdom says, let's just let the age of consent be 18. Period. But they're not doing that. After all that has happened, you should conclude, based on your Pacific civilization, it doesn't reflect the values and the morals of this country. Now, I'm about to make a very complex statement. As human beings, as far as girls, A menstruation, a period, a cycle, whatever word you want to use. This is something that happens to the human being that is an indication that she is ready to have children. Right? What else is it there for? Okay? The menstruation is the sign, just like any creature has other signs when they're ready for this, they're ready for that. That's the sign that the child's body is ready. Okay? But what about the boys? Boom. Boys don't go through menstruation. So how can you have laws? Here's the wisdom part. You can say, well, a woman is defined when she have her cycle. What about a boy though? Doesn't apply there. Boys don't have cycles. So a boy should not be having sex at 10 years old, 12 years old, 13. Like I said, the perfect law is adults with adults and have understanding when children experiment among themselves. Because children are going to have sex with children. This is how you balance it out. Not according to pedophilia, though. This is understanding the sexuality of human beings. This is the balance of understanding the sexuality of human beings from young to old, from adults to children. Children are going to experiment behind their parents' back, behind adults' back. That's what they're going to do. They're going to emulate the stuff they see on TV. That's what you don't want to accept, but it's true. You don't realize how much of an effect that has on a child. Okay? Just like they emulate gangsters, they emulate people that have sex. And you don't want to take responsibility for that. You want to go get rid of this gangster rap or trap rap or drill rap up to date, but you don't want to get rid of the sexual content which has an influence over children just as much as the music do. Hey, they get influenced to do many things. So in this country, there's so much sexuality that children are influenced by. You should be ashamed to even talk about it, like in the sense of trying to incriminate someone. This is a sexually charged culture, okay? Whether you want to accept it or not, and these kids emulate this. We got to get to this too in this campaign. Unfortunately, and it ain't just rappers, it ain't just singers, R&B singers, or it's the whole American culture has influenced us over the years. Yeah. And you don't realize, you have not accepted. I ain't gonna say you haven't realized. You haven't accepted the impact that the American sexual culture has on children acting out sexually. So children will act out sexually in this country. Okay? And we're not going to act like, oh, they're pedophiles. You the one was giving them all the sex content from the movies to the music. You was the one pumping all that stuff into them. And the truth be told, back in the day, they was targeting the young audiences. And you don't think that matters. Would you let some fully grown man come up and talk about having sex with a woman to your child? That's what you do with the music. That's what you do with the entertainment. You'll be ready to kill that person. What did he say to my daughter? Shaking and he's shaking it and stick. That's what they're doing in the music. That's what they're doing in the entertainment. I'm just keeping it 100. And you're a fool if you think that doesn't influence them. You're not a wise or smart, intelligent person when you if you don't understand that this influences them. And so kids are going to act out, especially in this culture, sexually. It's just going to happen, and we can't wait till they get old and then become adults and talk about, well, we remember all that we were doing. I'm sorry, this community is charged with all type of sexuality. We don't even know what each individual child saw or heard that acted out sexually. We don't even know what they saw. On TV, it could be a split second. It could be a commercial, by the way. It could be a commercial. It could actually be a commercial in a split second to influence a child, sexually speaking. So how are you going to, with this sexually charged community, how are you going to hold children liable? How are you going to wait till they grow up, become adults, and talk about, well, we remember what you did? I remember what your culture did too. I remember what your culture did to the children. I remember how much sexuality was in the community. I remember how much sexuality was in the music, in the videos, like shouldn't I say, all in the videos. All in the videos. I remember the sexuality all in the 90s, all in the 80s. And you're a fool if you think that children don't act out when they see those things. They emulate everything else. So they ain't gonna emulate people kissing. That's the first thing kids do. Ooh, kissing. And they think it's cute until they get a baby. And you think it's cute until they get a baby. Yeah, you think it's cute until they bring kids home talking about I'm pregnant. Or I'm talking about I'm pregnant. So for people to say, well, and I thought about